Knoxville's first known serial killer got away with murder.
It was October 1992, the week before Halloween, when these woods off Cahaba Lane turned into a crime scene.
It's like you go over here and here's a body, then you look over here and you say, oh my God, there's another body.
But Knoxville's first serial killer case will always be unsolved. As for the 4 women killed, no one was ever convicted for their murders.
So I'm out here trying to talk to the spirits who may have been murdered.
See how creepy this area is. A pair of shoes? The very.
I'm pretty sure they were strangled back here. Tom! His name's Thomas, the killer, Thomas Huskey. So it was Thomas.
Here we go. You can kind of see how just creepy this area is. I always wonder if there could be other stuff, you know, still left. There's just weird stuff down here, like a brush or a comb. Glove. Trash bag. Yeah, you know, I'm not going back up there. But this would have been the area where the bodies were found and where the murders happened. You know, literally it says in the news articles right at the dead end. So that it would have been right here. But I'm assuming maybe he would have killed them and then dragged them back there. Oh. There's like movement like everywhere around here. This is genuinely like a really freaky place. Thank you to whoever was talking.
Hey everybody, it's Colin Brown here, co-host of the podcast Murder in America, and obviously host of the Paranormal Files here on YouTube. How's it going, spooky fam? Today we're going to be diving deep into the case of the Zoo Man, Thomas Huskey, Knoxville's one and only serial killer, even though he's never been convicted for any of the murders. Now, we uncovered some unbelievable paranormal evidence in this video. I think you guys are really going to like it, but I don't know what's been going on. I just tried to record this entire clip on my photo booth app, and then I finished and the clip is like not showing up anywhere, and it was a 30-minute long clip with the narration. So I'm not gonna go back and re-record this whole video thing. I'm just gonna use photos to narrate this. But let's dive deep into the story of the Zoo Man, because it's about to get really, really dark, and like I said before, viewer discretion is definitely advised for this episode. So Thomas Huskey was a zoo worker in Knoxville. He was a middle-aged man, kind of unassuming, but he had a dark side. So his father worked for the Knoxville Zoo, and Thomas was known to be a diligent worker. He managed the elephants. He was very involved in everything that happened at the zoo. But at night, when he would get off from work, he would oftentimes go out and hire a prostitute for the night. And he eventually started to gain this nickname, the Zoo Man, because he would have sex with these prostitutes in areas near the zoo. Now, I've read in some stories that he actually took these women inside of the zoo grounds to a barn. I've also read that it was just areas around the zoo. Yeah, that's why he eventually started to get this nickname, the Zoo Man. Now, he was known to be aggressive with the women that he hired, and he would oftentimes beat them, he would attack them, he would assault them violently. But because prostitution is technically illegal, the women never really went to the police about what was happening to them in the darkness near the Knoxville Zoo. And this reputation definitely grew over the months, years that Thomas was engaging with these women. Some prostitutes refused to even go with Thomas in his car. Some feared him because he was known to be mean and, like I said, physically abusive. but others still agreed to go along with the whole thing because they needed the money, and that was just kind of something that went along with their profession. They knew that they might be in danger. Thomas would also bring these women that he hired out to a remote area just outside of Knoxville called Cahaba Lane. Now, this is a very isolated, dark, wooded area, and this is where he would, have sex with the women, and then sometimes he would abuse them or even try to rob them. Now, in 1992, that's when this story really takes a dark turn. So in 1992, one of these prostitutes actually went to the police finally and told the officers that a man, Thomas Huskey, had roughed her up, assaulted her, and robbed her while they were out at that wooded lane, Cahaba Lane. So she actually took a police detective from the Knoxville Police Department named Tom Presley out to that area on Cahaba Lane to show him where this assault had taken place. And when the woman and the detective went out to this area, they actually found Thomas out there again with a different woman. They were both completely naked. And from that point forward, Thomas was arrested, he was taken in, he was charged with various crimes. And at the time, Thomas was divorced and a father of two. So this was big news to his family and the people that knew him. They didn't really expect this out of Thomas. And after he'd been arrested, the police tried to make a case against him. They talked to a lot of women. They talked to prostitutes that he had hired, prostitutes that he had abused. And sadly, none of these women agreed to testify against him. They just didn't want to deal with this whole thing. And that's where this story really takes a dark turn, because at that point, Thomas knew that he wasn't going to stop hiring prostitutes. He was addicted to it. But he knew that going forward, he couldn't have any witnesses left to his crimes, anybody left to call the police after what he had done to them. And so he turned to murder. October 20th, 1992. It's a chilly fall day. A hunter is out in the woods near that Cahaba Lane area, and he stumbles across a dead body. The dead body belonged to a woman named Patricia Rose Anderson, and upon further inspection, she had been strangled, bound with rope, and her body was left under a mattress to rot amongst the trash and the scrub in the area. Sadly, Patricia was also pregnant at the time of her murder. Obviously, this was concerning, but no one knew where to look. No one knew who had carried out this crime. But the police knew that this area was a place of interest. So they sent investigators out there with body dogs and everything. And while they were searching the woods off Cahaba Lane, they came across another body, and then another body. And a short while later, they found the fourth set of remains, which were at this point skeletal. So this guy had been killing and leaving these bodies out there for a while. It was almost a sacred ground to him. It was this dumping ground that he oftentimes returned to, maybe to visit the bodies. They still don't know. But remember how that one woman had gone to the police and they'd gone out and caught Thomas in the act off Cahaba Lane? Well, that detective, Tom Presley, he actually went and alerted the sheriff's department. They got a search warrant and headed out to Thomas Huskey's trailer, where he lived with his parents. And although this search warrant was flawed and would come back to haunt the investigators during the prosecution phase of this entire thing, they entered the mobile home, did a search. They found rope that matched what was found on the victims, the rope that had bound them while they were being murdered. And they also found jewelry that matched the other jewelry found on the corpses and the jewelry that once belonged to these murder victims. So it was obvious at that point that Thomas definitely was the killer. They took him into custody. They knew that they had a case here, but it's not as simple as it seems. So when Thomas was first interviewed by the police, it was a pretty unremarkable interview. Nothing really stood out to investigators. He didn't admit to anything, and so he was put into custody. But a short while later, after being in jail for a minute, Thomas decided that he did want to talk, and so a second interview was arranged, and this time the investigators were introduced to Thomas's alter ego, or alternate personality, named Kyle. Now, talking as Kyle, Thomas told investigators, quote, "Give me a cigarette and I'll tell you everything you want to know. I'm Kyle. I hate Tommy." And Kyle opened up about everything. He talked about torturing women. He talked about killing the 4 women. He even referred to these murders as his experiments. And Kyle claimed that he did all of this to hurt Tommy. Now, this is kind of interesting, but while Thomas was mild-mannered, Kyle was aggressive and angry. And while Thomas was left-handed, Kyle wrote fluently with his right hand. And throughout these interviews that continued on for a while, multiple other personalities emerged from Thomas's mind, including that of a British person named Dax with an English accent, and an almost effeminate character named Timothy. So there were multiple personalities living apparently inside of Thomas's head. So when it finally came time for Thomas's trial in 1999, it was a big deal. Court TV, which later became True TV, the channel that now hosts shows like Impractical Jokers, sent a reporter out. It was all over the newspapers. This was a pretty big event. And this trial went on for a long time. There were lots of different people that were called up to testify. The defense was obviously trying to make Thomas look like he was insane, and they wanted to avoid the death penalty because that was on the table. While the prosecution tried hard to debunk the claims that Thomas was suffering from multiple personality disorder, the defense's defense was pretty good. And after the trial was over, when the jury deliberated, they came back and they couldn't reach a verdict. I mean, they knew that he had murdered some of the women. They couldn't decide on if he was insane or not. And the jury was essentially deadlocked. They couldn't make a decision. And so the trial was declared a mistrial, and it went back to square one. There was no conviction, no verdict, even after all of that deliberation, all of those testimonies, everything that had gone into this. But the legal process trying to convict Thomas of these 4 murders still continued. But this is where it gets wonky. So that warrant that the authorities used to search Thomas's trailer to find that evidence of the murders, that was declared to be a flawed warrant. So all of that evidence was tossed out of the courtroom. And in addition, it was also found that Thomas's initial confessions had been somewhat coerced. So they didn't know if Thomas was actually the killer or not. So at the end of the day, all 4 of the murder charges were dropped in 2005. And Thomas, as it wound up, would never be convicted of murdering a single person. Now, he was sentenced to over 60 years in prison for the series of rapes that he had carried out. Apparently, he had raped over 20 women, but still, I mean, it looks like he's going to die in prison, but there's no official record that he was the killer of these 4 women. Their cases are still, in the eyes of the law, unsolved to this day. But still, it's pretty obvious that Thomas Huskey, the Zoo Man, was a serial killer. After he was arrested, the bodies stopped turning up off Cahaba Lane. And like the prosecutors said during the trial, there were lots of things about the murders, the circumstances, the items that were found in the area that Thomas had told them about that only he knew. But what's frightening about this whole thing is that he's set to be released from prison in 2056, and that is if he's not paroled before then. So there is a valid possibility that Thomas Huskey could be walking among us one day in the future. But I knew that when I was in Knoxville, I wanted to cover this story. I wanted to head out and visit the Zoo Man's stomping ground. So first, late at night, I headed alone out to the Knoxville Zoo to see just how dark that area is for myself. So I'm here right now at one of the back gates to the Knoxville Zoo. You can see the zoo is over there. And I'm alone tonight on the trail of a serial killer that's never been convicted. This area actually, it's interesting because Thomas Huskey, he's nicknamed the Zoo Killer. And the reason for that is that he used to like to have sex with prostitutes in the area surrounding the zoo. He was an employee here, and he was fired from his position at the zoo because he was abusing the animals. Now that's obviously concerning behavior, but I'm here right now, and yeah, just look at this. This is like a very secluded area. In fact, there's an ominous dead end sign right here. But I'm assuming it was somewhere in this area where at one point Thomas Huskey came to get intimate with some of the women that he abused and eventually murdered. You know, it's eerie. It's a zoo right here, but it's really dark. It feels dark around here. And I can totally see, I mean, there's a parking lot right there. So, I mean, I could see somebody coming out to an area like this to do dirty deeds. I'm gonna keep driving around here. I was hoping I could get closer to the zoo, but it's closed because obviously it's almost midnight right now. I wanted to kind of show you these locations because this guy preferred darkness. He obviously liked being away from society, and areas like this right here, that's exactly what this is. In fact, it's actually so dark out here that I'm having to use my IR light so that you can see me. Like, check this out. Here's how dark it is in reality. I'm assuming back in the 90s, maybe it wasn't as well lit or developed,
And yeah, seems like a good place to do what he wanted to do. I mean, check it out. Look at all these areas back here. It's like very, very secluded. Zoo, Knoxville access. Look at the creepy blue light over there. So this is all bordering the zoo right here. And this would have been the area that Thomas was stalking, you know? And what's interesting is that from the zoo area, it is only a 12-minute, 6-mile drive to the area where these bodies were found. So let's say he got kicked out and told he couldn't, you know, work here anymore, stay here. It's not that far of a hop for him to change his patterns. He needed somewhere dark, and we're driving right into the darkness right now.
So after visiting the Knoxville Zoo, I could tell that this area had a darkness to it. It seemed like somewhere where a serial killer could easily prowl and find victims. But only a short drive away is Cahaba Lane, and that's where the bulk of these crimes took place. Cahaba Lane is the area where Thomas took these women, where he would either abuse them and let them live, or he would torture them, bind them, and then strangle them to death and leave their bodies to rot out in the brush. So I knew I had to visit Cahaba Lane, but I was definitely on edge because I was completely alone. I didn't know the area, and as you're about to see, the place is a bit darker than I thought it would be. I'm not gonna lie, this road just got way creepier as I started driving down it. Did not expect it to be so isolated.
It was Thomas D. Huskey's eyes the rape victim never could forget. Set so close together under those long eyebrows, they were chilling and yet revealing.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, this isn't scary at all. Oh my God. I definitely did not expect it to be this isolated. I think it's like very creepy because this is like the just dead end of a long ass road. So if someone comes like down here, I'm fucked. They could trap me in like really easily. Okay, so I'm out here trying to talk to the spirits of any woman who may have been murdered by Thomas Huskey. He also may have gone by Kyle. I'm simply coming and I'm gonna pay my respects, but if you could come talk to me to maybe reveal what happened to you, that would be great. So, if there's somebody in the woods, can you come talk to me? If you can follow these lights, I have these 2 lights set up right here. You can go touch them. Wow, I'm like really on edge down here. I'm not vibing with this. Is there anybody here with me right now? I'm using a tool right here. With this, you should be able to tell me things about yourself and I can hear your voice. Were you murdered back here? What happened to you? Do you remember a guy named Kyle? Or a guy with the last name Husky?
Don't be nervous.
Don't be nervous. I am nervous. I'm sorry, I can't help being nervous. I just am right now. Especially because I've heard like cracking branches in the woods. I don't know if it's an animal, if it's somebody out there. Choking. I'm pretty sure they were strangled back here. I'm not even lying, guys. I'm not even lying. You were choked? Thank you for coming to talk to me. Is that what happened to you? You were strangled back here? Push? Were you pushed around, choked, strangled? I don't know what that was. Can you tell me more? Buried. Oh my God. Choked, pushed around, buried out here. That's literally exactly what happened. Okay, I couldn't tell what that loud noise was. It's creepy. There's like sandals down here, trash bags. I'm really nervous that there's someone else out here. Dude, this place is fucking evil feeling. I'm not even joking, guys.
Oh.
Hole. Buried in a hole. Can you tell me the name of who did this to you? Please? Or maybe if there's something else that you want to be found out here? I'm like so nervous right now, guys, that I'm shaking. I don't like doing stuff alone. Being out here alone is like creepy.
Need trust.
Need trust to tell me? You can tell me, I promise. I'm not gonna hurt you, whoever's here. I'm here to try help. Who hurt you? Can you tell me who hurt you? I feel like I'm being watched. God, I'm like fucking really nervous for some reason. Can you tell me who hurt you? Are there more victims out here?
False.
False was interesting. Maybe there's none more? No more? Can you please tell me the name of the person that killed you? Was it Kyle? Thomas? Tom?
Ask.
Ask. I am asking. What's the name of the person who hurt you? Or their gender? Was it a man? Were they caught? Like I said, this is way eerier than I thought this was gonna be. I'm not gonna lie. I am on edge. I really would like to know though, who did this to you? Can you tell me something about the person that murdered you, please? What they looked like? Their name? Something? Anything? There's like tons of noises in the fucking woods. You know, I will say I totally understand why this is the perfect place for a murder. Deep. What was deep? But honestly, like, before this sign was here, when this was pitch black woods, so isolated down this road and just dark, I can totally see it happening. And this like feels really bad out here. It's not good energy. Can you tell me something about the person who killed you? The spirit talker said arrest. Can you see it on there? Huh. Are you confirming that he was arrested?
Never.
All right, so I actually got back in my car because, like, I'm locking my door. I'm like tapping out of this location because I really feel like there's somebody watching me from the woods, and I keep hearing like footsteps, and I'm all alone. I'm like genuinely really creeped out right now. I'm gonna do a spirit box in here. It'll be quieter too, and then I'm gonna go scan the area with a light really quick because there's some weird stuff in the area that I want to see. But I still got my static out there, so turning the spirit talker on. I'm gonna set that puppy right there. If you died here and you're still in the area, I know that it doesn't matter if I'm outside. Let's talk. Can you tell me the name of the person that killed you? I heard something. A woman's voice. Below. What's below? Were you murdered out here? Abandoned. So you were murdered out here and then abandoned. Is that right? Oh, I heard something. Civil. Can you tell me about your killer? Can you give me any description of him, like what he looked like? Can you tell me what he looked like? Tell me what happened out here. Dress. Were you wearing a dress when you were murdered? Can you tell me, did they catch the right guy? Answer. Yes? Or was your answer in there already? Whipping. How many people were murdered out here? What's your name? Is this Susan?
Yes, it's me.
Yes, it's me, Susan! Susan! I just asked if it was Susan. Okay, sorry, I had to turn the car on because I don't want the battery to die. Susan, what happened to you? Can you tell me? I just want to know if they got the right guy. Did they? Can you say yes if they got the right guy? Kyle? Can you tell me, is it still dangerous out in this area? Are you mad that he didn't get convicted for your murders? Tom! No way! No f***ing way! No way! His name's Thomas, the killer. Thomas Huskey. So it was Thomas. No way! We got Tom! That's his name, was Thomas Huskey! Susan, so you're saying that Tom is the guy that killed you. You're confirming this, Thomas? Wow, Susan. Holy shit, Susan. Thank you so much for coming and talking to me. Can you tell me anything else about what happened that night when you died? What the hell? My music just started playing. Angry? Little? What else happened, Susan? What is going on? My music keeps just turning on in my car. It's weird. Right when we got that answer. Were there other victims other than the 4 people that were found out here? Oh. Missed. What is going on? My music literally keeps just turning on. Look at that! What the f***? Is there anything else you'd like to tell me about what happened out here? Thank you for talking to me. Are you frightened? Yes, I am nervous out here. Susan, something about this area makes me very nervous. Is there a reason why I should feel so nervous? I'm here. Oh, what the hell? Animal, I heard. Susan, where's your killer now? Jail. Jail! Where is he? Jail! Jail! Holy f***! This is incredible right now! Thank you, Susan! How? This is so on point right now. This is so f***ing on point. Can you tell me anything? Call out? Are there any others out here? Oh, I feel so freaky out here. I'm like really like just fucking afraid out here. But this is like the most intelligent contact. Is there anything I can do to any of the other victims or for you, Susan, that would help you? Can you tell me anything else?
History.
History. You want me to tell everybody the real history, Susan? You want people to know that Tom is the one that did kill you? Do you know what Thomas's nickname was that he said his name was, or who killed you? It starts with a K. He was calling himself Kyle. 17? 4? All right, Susan, or whoever's out here, I'm gonna be done talking to you in a second. Can you tell me anything else about the person that killed you so that I can help show people this and confirm that it was the guy who they caught? Did he work at the zoo? Killed, I heard. Where did your
killer work? Can you tell me? The zoo, I just heard. Real. All right, Susan, or whoever I've been talking to. I think it's you, Susan. Thank you so much for talking with me. I'm going to end this session. I'm going to pack my stuff up and I have to go. But I'm going to share your story with the world, okay? I'm going to let them know what he did to you and that it was him, according to you. That's crazy. Wow. So we just had some absolutely incredibly intelligent contact, but it's 1:45 in the morning. Yeah, it's late. I'm like really still sketched out back here. And I'm going to get out with my light once and kind of look in the areas around here and get some shots. And then I'm going to pack up and head out because, yeah, my anxiety is just peaking around here. Here we go. You can kind of see how just creepy this area is. I always wonder if there could be other stuff, you know, still left. There's just weird stuff down here, like a brush or a comb. Glove. Trash bag. Yeah, you know, I'm not going back up there. But this would have been the area where the bodies were found and where the murders happened. You know, literally it says in the news articles right at the dead end. So that it would have been right here. But I'm assuming maybe he would have killed them and then dragged them back there. Oh. There's like movement like everywhere around here. This is genuinely like a really freaky place. Thank you to whoever was talking. Okay, yeah, I'm over this creepy ass area. Off we go. I mean, just look at this though. Like there's like stuff everywhere around here. It's really eerie. Wait. Now this isn't creepy at all. A pair of shoes? What the fuck? There's like a lot of shit around here. There's like clothing. You see that? Yeah, this is freaky. These shoes, though, are genuinely freaky.
Today, the Zoo Man remains in a Tennessee prison for rape, but he will never serve a day in his life for murder.
In my view, he should never be put back into a free society. I believe him to be a very dangerous man.
As for the 4 women killed, no one was ever convicted for their murders.
So at the end of the day, I think that I did contact somebody who had been hurt by Thomas Huskey, the Zoo Man. It was a very dark, very different, very strange energy out there at Cahaba Lane. It was an energy that I don't think I was really prepared for when I headed out there. I didn't think it would actually be as terrifying as it was. I mean, you can tell in the footage that I was actually very, very freaked out being out there, and I didn't expect that. I mean, I was completely alone, which is always scary, but you never know what's out in the woods, and you never know who could be out there to this day. And that's, you know, the sort of thought that runs through my mind when I'm out in a dark murder forest all alone. But I'm sorry that this episode was kind of short. Jeff and I just wrapped filming our West Virginia series last night. We got back to our hotel at about 5:30 a.m. But let me tell you, every single video in the West Virginia series is going to be about 3 hours long. So you guys are going to be getting some really extended, really great videos filmed at some of the most iconic locations in United States history. Some really big spots, really in-depth interviews, and really in-depth investigations. I know y'all are really gonna love them. But the one thing that you can do to help me out here is make sure to like every video. I want to boost our live viewers for every premiere Monday at 6:30 p.m. Make sure to tune in and come join us, join the Spooky family. I know everybody's probably in here right now while it's premiering, chatting, so hi to everybody. But if you can just help me out, all you need to do is hit the like button on this video. Let's hit 10,000 likes, and comment in the comment section below your favorite thing about my channel, because I want to take what you guys love about the channel and implement that more in the video. So we're going to give away a gift bag to one of you lucky people who comments on the video. And as always, everybody, I'm exhausted, but we'll see you next week for the start of our West Virginia series. In my opinion, the best series we've ever done here on the channel. It's Colin Brown here. I love y'all so much. Stay spooky, and see you next week. Hello.